Hello, my name is Randi McDowall, and I'm the supervisor of the LAMP program. And in light of the current events we have found ourselves in these past couple of weeks, I wanted to talk with you about coping with stress and anxiety during this time of uncertainty. I don't think there's anybody who's watching this webinar that hasn't struggled with feeling a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety about the pandemic. To be honest, this whole webinar was inspired by the research I was doing to help myself deal with my own stress and anxiety in healthy, productive ways. So today, I'd like to share some of these coping mechanisms with you and hope that we can all get through this very difficult time together. Uncertainty is all around us, never more so than today. The current pandemic has heightened uncertainty over so many aspects of our life: the economy, employment, finances, relationships, and of course, physical and mental health. Yet as human beings, we crave security. We want to feel safe. We want to have control over our own lives and our own well-being. Fear and uncertainty can leave you feeling stressed, anxious, and powerless over the direction of your life. The first step in coping with stress is to know the symptoms. But recognizing stress symptoms may be harder than you think. And that's because most of us are always stressed to some degree. So we might experience some of these effects on our health where stress is at a healthy level, but then it magnifies itself when it becomes unhealthy. So like in my case, when news of the coronavirus first started, I began getting daily migraines, and I haven't gotten a migraine since graduate school, which was like 100 years ago. And my stomach was so upset and I couldn't sleep. I had terrible, terrible insomnia. My anxiety level was so high, I knew that it was time to do something about it. Anxiety is part of being human. It's normal. Everyone experiences. In fact, anxiety can sometimes be a really good thing. But when we describe anxiety, we describe it as a feeling, like we're feeling nervous or worried or uneasy. But actually, anxiety is an emotional disorder. While many people don't consider anxiety to be an emotion, there's no denying that anxiety emotions are very real. Even though you may feel other emotions like irritation, sadness, and anger, anxiety itself represents an emotional state where you're prone to suffer effects on your mental health when it starts to affect the everyday aspect of your life. So, how do you know when your anxiety is a problem? It is completely normal to be experiencing some level of anxiety during this time, especially for me as we're transitioning into a new phase and some restrictions are being lifted. My anxiety doesn't stop me from being able to live my normal life and take care of myself and get my work done. But there are days where it does. And so this easy 7-question test, you can just Google self-test for anxiety, is what I use to keep an eye on my anxiety level so that I can structure my day the way it needs to be. If you take it a few times throughout the day and you notice a certain portion that your anxiety is falling to the moderate category, check and see what's going on at that time. And maybe you can figure out some triggers to your anxiety and start working on some of those. In this time of uncertainty, it's just a fact that there are going to be many things outside of your control, including how long the pandemic lasts, when we reopen the economy, go back to work, how other people behave, and what's happening in our communities. This is a tough thing to accept. And so many of us respond by endlessly searching the internet for answers, and that just makes it worse. So the tips I'd like to share with you today are focusing on what you can control, planning for what you can, staying informed and connected, taking care of your body and spirit, reframing your thought process, and practicing gratitude. Number 1, focus on things you can control. As long as you're focusing on questions with unknowable answers and circumstances that are completely outside of your personal control, that strategy is not going to work, aside from leaving you feeling drained, anxious, and overwhelmed. When you feel yourself getting caught up in the fear of what if this happens, that's when you know you're going into territory of things you don't have control over. So sometimes it's helpful to take a piece of paper and fold it in half. And on one side, write the things that you have no control over. And then on the other side, list the things you do have control over. This will help shift your thinking from thinking about problems to thinking about solutions. One thing that you do have control over are the recommendations from the health authorities. Following the recommendations of the health authorities puts you in control of keeping yourself safe and your family and friends. Number 2, plan for what you can. An example from my personal life about planning for what I can was finding out that my daughter was being quarantined. She lives with her father, and the thought of not seeing her and not being able to take care of her sent me into pretty much a complete panic. So I wrote down all of the things that I have no control over, but then we together made a plan of the things that we could control. We planned to have daily FaceTime calls. I would drop things off for her that she needed and leave them in the mailbox, and we would sit in her dad's backyard and visit each other, 6 feet apart, of course, and wearing masks. This plan completely took away all of my anxiety about my daughter and how she was doing. It's vital to stay informed, particularly about what's happening in your community, so that you can follow advised safety precautions and do your part to slow the spread of the virus. But there is a lot of misinformation going around, as well as sensationalistic coverage, which only feeds into fear. It's important to be discerning about what you read and watch. So you're going to want to stick to sources such as the CDC, then the World Health Organization. And you're going to want to limit how often you're checking the news. It's amazing how you can start on social media looking into one thing, and then hours later, you're confused, scared, and anxious, and your productivity takes a complete dive. So step away from the media when you start to feel overwhelmed. And maybe you don't want to watch the media at all and just ask someone reliable to share important updates. This is what I'm choosing to do. I can't watch the media at all, or I will get angry or frustrated or completely anxious, and nobody wants to deal with that. So When my fiance calls me after work at 6 o'clock, I ask him, is there anything that I need to know? And he'll share important information, such as maybe like the beaches are opening or restaurants are opening. And this way, I can completely cut that part out and feel good about being informed and not anxious. Number 4, stay connected even when physically isolated. This is so hard because the one thing that we're being told to do, social distancing, is the exact opposite of what humans crave doing, which is connecting. So, if we're not connecting with others, isolation and loneliness can exacerbate anxiety and depression and even impact your physical health. Some tips for staying connected. Make it a priority to stay in touch with your family and friends. If you're the type that withdraws when they're depressed or anxious, maybe set up regular phone calls or scheduled times that you're going to talk with your family and friends. I know every Sunday night I'm going to have a Zoom call with my family and relatives, even my niece in London, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to see their faces and really substituting video chatting for that connection, but it still gives me it's like vitamin for my mental health when I get to see my friends and family on the screen. And try not to let coronavirus dominate every conversation. There's lots of other things to talk about. Share good news, focus on funny things that happened, and even reminisce a little bit. At Employee Health Benefits, we have a standing Zoom conference every Friday, and it's really just a check-in so that we can see each other and tell each other how things are going and laugh at your boss when you see that her puppy keeps jumping up in her face and she doesn't have very much control over him. So here at EHB, these are our home work environments we were sharing with each other during this time. And as you can see, we get a lot of help from our furry friends. Number 5, take care of your body and spirit. This is an extraordinarily trying time, and all of the tried and true stress management strategies apply, such as eating healthy meals, getting plenty of sleep, and meditating. And beyond that, here are some tips for practicing self-care in face of the unique disruptions caused by the coronavirus. Go easy on yourself if you're not your best, if you're having difficulty adjusting, or if you're just having a down day and need to just do nothing. You're not alone in your struggles. If you are working from home, try to stick to a regular sleep and meal. If you're homeschooling your kids, have them on a regular schedule. This is their lunchtime. This is when they do math. This can help you maintain a sense of control and also a sense of normalcy. And if you have time and you're feeling bored, it's a very good time to read a good book or watch a comedy, maybe do some crafts. My daughter and I made stress bottles that we found on Pinterest with water, glue, food coloring, and all the glitter you can imagine. And it just completely took my mind off of my worries. I like to take walks often, even when I'm working in the office. I set a timer for every half hour to get up and go take a walk outside around the block. And it just kind of helps me reset my brain. The gyms being closed has been a challenge to try to find ways to exercise. But if you are working from home, you can look for online classes and videos you can follow. The Manatee County Fitness Center is offering Zoom classes on everything from yoga to stretch and muscle release classes. So check out the Manatee Your Choice website for the Zoom class schedule. And be careful that you're not using alcohol or other substances to deal with your anxiety and depression. And instead, try to take up a relaxation practice. There are so many things that you can do with relaxation techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, and yoga. We have at EHB Mindful Mondays, where we do a 10-minute mindful meditation. And if you go on YouTube and you just Google 10-minute mindful meditation, lots of things will pop up, but Calm offers a new one every single day. So that's an easy habit to get yourself into. Gratitude. The benefits of practicing gratitude are nearly endless. People who practice gratitude by taking time to notice and reflect upon the things they're thankful for experience more positive emotions. They feel more alive, they sleep better, and even have a stronger immune system. Optimism is the heart of gratitude. It enables you to see the good in every situation, regardless of how bad you think that it might be. Although I have not enjoyed the fact that I've been quarantined with my son for close to 8 weeks now. He is leaving for college in the fall, and I'll never have this time back again. So I look at it as a gift. Reframing your thought process. In an article by Corn Ferry, it suggested that we use this time to reconnect with finding purpose in the work that we do. Take time to work on who we want to be. It's a chance to focus on self-awareness and make progress on who you want to be. So here are some questions that you can ask yourself in order to gain perspective and look at this time in a completely different way. When I took the time to answer these questions for myself, I realized that during this time of uncertainty, I have been able to provide comfort and support to those that needed it. And by providing tips on caring for your mental health to Manatee County employees, it helped me feel better about sharing information that could help somebody who was feeling what I was feeling. And I also learned that I was really resilient, because learning how to set up a home office was difficult for me, being a little technology challenged, but I did it, I got it done, and now can pretty much say that my home office functions as well as my regular office. It is always darkest before the dawn, but we know that it's only a moment of time. In the next moment, we see light. Things always seem to get worse before they get better. Even in the midst of the worst of circumstances, there is hope. I know that hope is what is keeping me moving forward towards a brighter future. Thank you so much for watching this webinar, and I hope that you learned some positive and healthy coping mechanisms to help you get through this uncertain time. Here are some websites that you can go to get accurate and up-to-date information. And as always, please remember that you have the Lamp line to call if you just want to talk about what you're feeling, or if you want to set up counseling for yourself or a family member. And we also have a psychiatrist available 1 day a week. So please, if your stress and anxiety is getting in the way of you being able to function in your normal life and at work, please give us a call on the lamp line and we will get help for you. Again, thank you for attending this webinar. You can send any questions you have to my email, which is rmcdowell@manateeyourchoice.com.